What if I told you that a single photo, no dramatic lighting, no elaborate stage, no background music, could make the entire world stop scrolling? Because when Jin of BTS posted those photos in a long Gucci coat, that's exactly what happened. On March 3rd, he quietly uploaded several shots to Instagram. No long explanation, no grand statement. Just him, standing in a structured, aristocratic long coat from the Prince of Wales, design in the La Famiglia collection by Demna, representing his role as global ambassador for Gucci, and yet it felt monumental. The coat itself was classic, refined, tailored to perfection. The collar buttoned up neatly, framing his neckline in a way that felt both regal and intimate. The fabric fell cleanly along his tall frame, elongating his already statuesque proportions. Every line was intentional, every angle sculpted. But here's the truth. It wasn't just the fashion. It was him. The broad shoulders that carry both elegance and quiet strength, the tall silhouette that feels almost cinematic, the long legs that make every frame look like a runway, that delicate, deer-like neckline, and that face, symmetrical, luminous, almost impossibly refined. There's a reason world-renowned artist James Jean once described him as having fundamental beauty. Not beauty that depends on trends, not beauty that fades with time, but something structural, timeless, foundational. And what made these photos even more powerful? They weren't overly polished. Some were slightly shaky, a little blurred, the kind of movement you'd see in a candid moment rather than a luxury campaign. And yet fans unanimously agreed, the subtle imperfection made it even more captivating. It felt real, like you were catching a glimpse of a prince between scenes. The reactions were instant. Comments flooded in. Words like visual king, legendary, unreal filled the screen. And then one comment stole the spotlight. His fellow BTS member J-Hope simply wrote, "Ooh," one elongated sound, one perfectly chaotic reaction. And somehow it captured what millions were feeling, that wordless, overwhelmed awe when beauty hits you unexpectedly. But here's where this moment becomes deeper than fashion. Because Jin standing there in that coat is not just a model. He is not just a face. This is the same man who completed his military service in June 2024 as a special soldier instructor, known as an ace during his service, and the very next day chose to meet fans. No extended rest, no gradual re-entry. He stepped straight into fan meetings. He stood in front of the people who had waited, who had counted down days, who had missed him. That decision wasn't strategic. It was emotional. It was loyalty. And then came the music. In 2024 and 2025, he released 2 solo albums, not as a side project, not as a simple milestone, but as fully realized artistic statements. He participated in composing, shaping his sound with intention. His voice, clear, stable, emotionally precise, moved fluidly across genres. Ballad, pop, emotional, mid-tempo. He doesn't just sing notes, he delivers feelings. His second mini-album, Echo, introduced the title track, Don't Say You Love Me, a song that resonated so deeply, it topped the Spotify Global Chart, dated May 25th, 2025. It became the most played K-pop song released in 2025 on Spotify. Let's pause there. A man constantly praised for his visuals, dominating the world's largest streaming platform because of his voice. That's duality. And then, as if that wasn't enough, he launched his first solo fan concert world tour, Tour. This wasn't a small-scale experiment. It received a perfect 5-star rating from Rolling Stone. It broke records as the highest-ranking Asian soloist on Polestar's top 20 global concert tours. It made history again on Billboard's Top Tour Monthly chart. He didn't just step into the solo spotlight. He owned it. And yet, when you look at those Gucci coat photos, there's something soft about him. Almost innocent. The collar buttoned up like he's bracing against the cold. His gaze calm, unforced, quietly powerful. That contrast, that's what makes him magnetic. He can command a stadium of tens of thousands. He can top global charts. He can break touring records. He can represent one of the world's most prestigious fashion houses. And still, in a slightly shaky Instagram photo, he feels approachable, gentle, real. There's something profoundly emotional about watching someone evolve this way. From worldwide handsome, a playful title he once claimed with humor, to a global icon whose presence alone shapes headlines. But maybe what touches people the most isn't just how he looks in that coat. It's everything that coat represents. Growth after service, artistry after silence, devotion after distance, strength wrapped in elegance. Every era of Jin feels like a new chapter, and somehow each one outshines the last. So when the world calls him Visual King, maybe it's not just about symmetry or styling. Maybe it's about presence. The kind of presence that fills a frame. The kind of presence that commands respect without demanding it. The kind of presence that makes even a luxury brand campaign feel secondary. Because in the end, the coat was stunning. But the man inside it? Unforgettable. And the most dangerous part? He's still evolving. And every time we think we've seen the peak, Kim Seokjin quietly raises the standard again.